Whew. What is going on, folks? My name is Spice. This is Spice Can't Fish, and today we've got ourselves a box. So it's been a little while since I've done an unboxing on my channel. I've been trying to keep it mostly fishing content as of recently, just because it is kind of fishing season, and I tend to leave these unboxings towards like the end of the year when it's kind of cold and icy and I can't really get out and do any fishing. But it's finally fall time here, and I am super stoked about it. It means the fish should be feeding up for the winter, it means they should be getting fat, they should start being pretty aggressive. And a lot of the grass is dying off as well, so it's finally time for me to start throwing some more big swim baits. So because of that, I've got 4 brand new swim baits to add to the arsenal, and I am so jacked about this one. This might be the biggest swim bait unboxing I've ever done on my channel. We've only got a couple of baits to go through today, but I've wanted every single one of the baits in this box for a long time. So really stoked to get these things in my hands. And I figured since the fishing's been a little bit slow and I haven't really had a lot of time to go out and do any sort of fishing, I may as well just do an unboxing for you guys, let you know what I picked up for the fall. And hopefully we'll be able to get on a few fish with a bunch of these baits coming up here in the future. But yeah, like I said, I got 4 baits in this box, so we're going to go through them real quick. I am really excited about it. We got a good variety of baits in here, which I'm also super stoked about. Got a wake bait, got a multi-jointed bait, and then a couple of glide baits, and every single one of them is a little bit different, and I'm super jacked about all of them. So we're going to start off with this guy right here. This is a wake bait, as you guys can probably tell. If you all know swim bait fishing, you might know what this is. This is a Lanciotti Psycho Gill. Big shout out to my buddy Joey McKinnon for actually hooking it up with this one. This is a really sweet little bait. Now obviously you guys can probably tell it's a used bait. I haven't caught any fish on it yet, but it has been used before. But I wanted this specific bait for a couple of reasons. Number one, obviously I love throwing wake baits. If you guys know, I absolutely love throwing big swim baits, especially big wake baits. I feel like half of the baits that I own are probably big wake baits of some sort. But I also wanted this specific bait because it's a little bit more difficult to get your hands on. Again, the Psycho Gills are really well known. They're really hard to get your hands on as is, but this one in particular is really special. So on this side, you guys can probably tell it's just a normal bluegill pattern, nothing super interesting or cool about that. But if you flip it over to this side, it looks really crazy. So a few years ago, back in like 2017 or 2018, Lanciotti actually did like a run of some Halloween specific baits, and this is one of them. I think they only made like 6 of these things, so this is like a 1 of 6. And as you guys can tell, it's kind of like a zombified bluegill type presentation. Super, super interesting. I wanted to save this one and actually do a video on it coming up for Halloween. So you guys will probably see a video around Halloween time with this thing, but I am super stoked to add this one to the arsenal. Again, just a little bit of a different presentation. I have a ton of these wake baits, especially the bluegill style wake baits, but this one is just a little bit more unique. Again, 1 of 6, so super hard to get your hands on one of these. And again, super big shout out to my man Joey. He was the one who actually hooked it up with this thing. Gave me a pretty solid price on it. Again, it is a used bait, but it is super, super rare. 1 out of 6, you're not going to see another one of these things around. And this is one of the more reputable big wake baits on the market. A lot of people love the Lanciotti Psycho Gill. I've heard great things about this bait, and I'm really excited to finally have one. And I figured I may as well go for it. Again, I've wanted a Psycho Gill for a good long time, and this one's one of the most unique ones you can get your hands on. So figured I'd pick that one up, and hopefully we'll be able to catch a couple of fish on that coming up real soon. But yeah, that's the first bait I picked up, just a little wake bait. Again, like I said, I got a wake bait, a multi-jointed bait, and then a couple of glide baits in here. So 4 different presentations. You guys will see what I'm talking about. Now this next bait here is actually one that I wasn't actually planning on picking up, but I saw it, thought it looked really interesting. I'd never actually seen one before and figured I may as well just pull the trigger on it. This is actually that multi-jointed bait that I was talking about. It's a really interesting bait. This is from a company called Matt Lures. If you guys know that company, you probably know them for their hard gill, but they actually make a bass pattern as well. So figured I'd pick up a little multi-jointed bass guy. Now, I don't really know all too much about this thing. I know it's a slow sink, but I never really see anything on the bass. Again, most of the time you see the Matt Lures, it's just like the hard gill is what they're known for. But it's a super realistic, about 7-inch little profile. Again, multi-jointed, slow sink, so should be a perfect little swim bait. And yeah, I'm really excited to throw this thing around a little bit. Again, haven't really heard all too much about these things, but Matt Lures makes some fantastic baits, and I'm sure this one will swim perfect. If it's anything like the hard gills that Matt Lures is known for, then it's going to be a fish catcher one way or another. And yeah, this thing's going to get crushed. I'm going to throw it around a little bit this fall, but I really think it's going to shine this coming spring. The largemouth in the spring tend to be a little bit more territorial, again trying to feed up for the spawn, so they should be looking for a big profile like this. And big largemouth are pretty cannibalistic. They'll eat their own kind. They'll eat smaller largemouth, again, around the spawn, post-spawn, pre-spawn time of the year. This could get bit again in the fall time, so we're going to be throwing around a little bit here in the future, but I think, again, this bait's really going to shine in the spring. And yeah, really stoked to throw this thing around, see if I can catch a couple of fish on it. Looks really cool. I'm sure, again, they'll swim really well in the water. And yeah, I don't really have a lot of multi-jointed swim baits, so I figured I'd pick one up in a little bit of a different profile. Again, it's supposed to be like a largemouth or a smallmouth bass. So yeah, just got a little 3-piece multi-jointed swim bait. Comes with a little bit of a soft plastic tail on there. Hopefully that one doesn't fall out because I don't know where you can get other ones for it. But again, super sweet little bait. But yeah, little multi-jointed bass guy. Really stoked to throw that one around as well. Alright, these last two baits, as you guys can imagine, are the two glide baits that I picked up. They're both from the same company, and I am so excited to have these. So we're going to start off with the smaller guy, because as soon as you guys see the smaller bait, you guys are going to know what the bigger one is. It's going to be pretty obvious for you guys if you know your big swim baits. But yeah, we're going to start off with that little dude. That is a Roman Made South. This is one of their less well-known baits. I know a lot of people talk about the Roman Made Negotiator, the Roman Made Mother, but not a lot of people talk about the South. So it's just a little bit of a smaller profile bluegill glide bait. I love these smaller bluegill glides, especially for throwing around ponds and stuff. This one actually happens to be a floater, so the South actually is a floating glide bait. And yeah, they're super interesting. I've never actually seen a South up close in person before, so this is kind of like a first time look for me. But yeah, never seen a South up close before. They're a little bit smaller than I thought they were going to be, but again, just a perfect size for those smaller pond bass. And you can obviously catch bigger fish on this thing as well, throw it around big lakes. I'm sure they'd absolutely crush this thing, but I'll probably be using this in some small, shallower ponds. Should be fantastic this fall, should be great next spring. I'm going to be throwing this thing around a whole lot. I'm really excited to have this thing in the arsenal. I don't honestly need another bluegill glide, but it looked too good, and I've always wanted a South, so I figured I may as well not let this opportunity pass. If you guys know anything about Roman Made, they're all handcrafted wooden baits, so they're really, really high profile, really high price. They're pretty hard to get your hands on, pretty sweet. And yeah, we got ourselves a little tiny 2-piece glide bait. Again, it's a little bit more of a bluegill presentation, as you guys can probably tell by the paint and also the body structure. So yeah, we got ourselves a little South. Really excited to throw this thing around, see what it can do. Alright, and like I said, these last two baits are from the exact same company. Again, we got ourselves another glide bait. If you guys weren't able to put it together by seeing the size of this package, I'm sure you already know what's in here. If I had to put this into an analogy, this is probably kind of more similar to like a Lamborghini Aventador, so you don't really see them all too often. Every once in a while you'll see them. But this thing right here, this has got to be the Bugatti of swim baits. This is going to be the first time I've ever seen one of these in person as well. Again, the South is one of those baits that you don't really see a whole lot. This one you see a good bit, you just don't really see them around all too often in person. Again, like I said, this is from the exact same company as that trick, so without further ado, I introduce you to the Roman Made Mother. Oh my god, this thing is so big. I've never, again, seen one of these things in person. This thing is sick. But yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen a mother in person. I'm blown away. I didn't realize this bait was as big as it was. It's a huge profile. It's insane when you actually look at one in person. This is definitely the heaviest bait that I own. It's probably the biggest bait that I own as well. I picked this thing up specifically for this colder time of the year. From what I understand, the Mother is a perfect cold water bait. People throw them around in 50, 40 degree waters and still get bit. I'm sure the camera doesn't do it justice, but we'll just take like, let's take this Psycho Gill since it's not all wrapped up. Look at the size difference on that. There's like 2 Psycho Gills in this. We got the old rainbow trout pattern on there. Obviously, as you guys can see, this is a used bait. All these baits are used, actually. I should have probably clarified that, but this thing is insane. And like I said, we are pretty much in full fall conditions right now, so these fish should be feeding up on some big baits, and you can't really get much bigger than that. And yeah, I think we're going to have to get out within the next couple of weeks and just commit a full day to throwing this bait around, see what we can do with it. Again, I've seen some absolute monsters caught on this bait. The name speaks for itself, the reputation precedes it. I feel like for a lot of people, everyone has like one bait company that they love or they would love to own everything from, especially when it comes to big swim baits. I think nowadays a lot of people are on the DRT train. Some people will say depths or throwback baits or just a bunch of the other bait companies on the market. But for me, that pinnacle, that holy grail bait has always been Roman Made. And to say that I finally own one of these things after years and years of seeing people catch fish on them, have them, throw them around, it's just like a surreal feeling. Like I said, I've got a negotiator, I've got a trick, and now we've got a south and a mother. The only thing that I can get from them after this is probably the mother chaser. I think they have like a different little 3-piece bait, like a Maroki or something, I think is what it's called. But yeah, I have finally picked up one of the most badass pieces of fish catching equipment that has ever come out of Japan, and I am so excited to have my hands on this. So yeah, just to go over that real quick, we have that 1 of 6 Psycho Go with that little zombie paint job on it. We have the old Matt Lures 3-piece bass, which is now hooked to the south, of course. There it is, that little 3-piece bass. We, of course, have the Roman Made South in that sweet little bluegill color, and then the rainbow trout mother. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's unboxing. I am really excited to get out and throw some of these baits around. If you guys liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see some more content from me. But I think that's going to do it for me. I'll check and wreck them, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Peace.